Hello, so today I'm going to show you how to use your draft team in the website that we use to battle, as well as how to pick out what to use, like what to do with the Pokemon once you've decided what 6 you're going to use. So first things you need to know, Pokemon is a 6v6 game, which means that even though you have 10 Pokemon, you're only going to be using 6 of them. So each week's going to be a little different because you're going to pick out which 6 you think are going to work best against this 6. So right now I have the Riverside Greninjas team and the Tornadoricats team up because they're both just getting into competitive for this draft league, and they're the ones that are probably going to need the most help. So looking at it right away, you will notice that they're both base speed is not very high. So if one of them decides to pick something to go very fast, there's a couple items that could be useful on them, and I'll go over that in a second. So you're going to pick 6 out of your 10 Pokemon to battle, whichever you think is going to be good against their 6. And you're going to do that on Pokemon Showdown. So this is Pokemon Showdown. I already have a team set up here. You go to PokemonShowdown.com. You end up in this page. And then you're going to pick a name. If you see in the corner here, I have a name Makeda because I am logged in. That name is going to be whatever. I apologize for the fireworks. It's going to be whatever appears on your home page right here. It says Hello Makeda. That's the name I chose. So you're going to go to Showdown. You're going to log into that name. And then when your opponent is available, you're going to go here and you're going to type in, let's just do Hollow Kid, for example. And you're going to click Challenge. Under Challenge, this is going to pop up. It's going to be under Sword Shield Singles, Custom Game, and you're going to select your team. See, I have this team for the Riverside Greninjas already set up, and you're going to challenge. Now, one thing to know is Pokemon Showdown does things quite differently than what we do in the Draft League. So if you go to Team Builder, you're going to see these 6 Pokemon, but by default, all this is going to be blank. So, first things first, when you decided what 6 you're going to bring, which is what I would decide first based on typing, you're going to have to go here and you're going to set level to 50. Now, if the level is 100, see the stats right here, 217, 81, 145, 121, whatever. That's your stats at level 50. But by default, Showdown puts it at level 100. So if you go here, you can see they're significantly higher than they were when they were level 50. So, that gives you kind of an unfair advantage because everything in this draft league is set to level 50. And that's because everything at level 50 is more balanced than if they were at level 100. So Pokemon that aren't so great, such as, let's say, Octillery, who is typically not that great, is much better at level 50 than they are at level 100. So we set everything to level 50 so that everything has at least a decent chance of being successful. Next, you're going to want to make sure that your G-Max Pokemon is a G-Max Pokemon in the set. So if you see there's 2 Appletons, Appleton the regular one and Appleton G-Max. So you're going to want to make sure it's Appleton G-Max. Whoops, I messed up. Well, this is a good time to show you. Okay, so see how when I clicked Appleton, like let's say you decide to change your Pokemon, right? You wanted to replace your Appleton with something else on your team. You can see when I replaced it, it went by default to level 100. So you want to make sure that if you decide to change something that you're putting everything at level 50. So here's another thing. When everything is blank, you can see you don't have an item, you don't know what ability you're using, your moves are all blank, and your EVs are empty. So you don't really have to know all that stuff because typically you are a beginner. So first of all, let's just go back to G-Max since that's the Pokemon you're going to be using. Set it to level 50. And then here, it'll show you a list of popular items that competitive Pokemon players use. So you're going to want to pick out one of these items. I mean, there's a bunch of other items, like the one I'm going to choose is actually not on this list, but you can choose a bunch of different items depending on what you want to do with your Pokemon. So, for example, I'm going to pick Yache Berry. Appleton is 4 times weak to ice, which means that when they use the Yache Berry, it halves the damage taken from super effective ice attacks, 1 time. So you get hit by an Ice Beam, by that Octillery we were just talking about, instead of taking 4 times damage, you're going to take 2 times damage. On top of that, Appleton has the ability Thick Fat, so it halves the attacking stat of whatever uses a fire or ice move against it. So Thick Fat, Yache Berry, means you're only taking 1 times damage from an ice attack, which is really great on a Gmax Pokemon, because when a Pokemon Gmaxes, they double their HP. I heard that firework coming. Hopefully you can't hear it in here, but people are still going nuts with their fireworks the day after. Yache Berry, Thick Fat, and then you're going to see here a list of moves. So another thing to know is that when you're looking at a Pokemon's moves, you're going to know which stats are higher. So moves take either the attack or the special attack into consideration. See, Appleton's attack is 85, special attack is 100. So most of the time you're going to be running special attacking moves because their special attack is higher, so it'll be doing more damage than a physical attack. That being said, physical is still viable, especially when the gap is that little, like it's only 15 points. Like, you can still make use of physical, but special is definitely better. So a way to tell what move is what is if you look here, like Apple Acid, which is its signature move, so we're going to click it. We're going to definitely use a grass attack. It says a grass, so you're going to be doing grass damage. And this little box here, this purple box with the water drop, is a special symbol. Jeez. So you're going to be using that for special attacks. Now if we go down when we look at body press, it says it's a fighting attack with physical. So this is a physical indicator, so you'll be using physical moves to use that. So you don't want to click on that. Although body press uses defense as the calculator instead of attack. Typically, moves like Body Slam, Bullet Seed, those will use your attacking stat to calculate damage. So let's do Apple Acid, Dragon Pulse, Recover, Leech Seed, just for an example. Whoops, what happened to Apple Acid? Now, you'll see here, if you're not following this, so if you go to Smogon, smogon.com, smogon.com, you'll see this thing called the Strategy Pokédex. So we're going to click that, and then we're going to click Sword and Shield, because that's the generation we're playing. And look, Appleton Gmax is right there. Click on that. As new to competitive, you may just want to do this. Scroll down to see what competitive moveset people's use, which is the one I just used, because I already knew about it. And you're going to click Export and Copy. Now, Appleton Gmax is a great one to use it because you can see that when I import this, it becomes regular Appleton. So if you're using Gmax, you're going to want to type in Gmax there. See, now it's regular Appleton. But now it's level 100. So you're going to want to make sure you set it to level 50. Another thing is, in this thing, you could only use 1 item per Pokemon. That sounds confusing, but as you can see here, Appleton has heavy-duty boots, and Ninetales has heavy-duty boots. That is not allowed. Each Pokemon has to have a unique item. So I'm going to put the Yache Berry on there again, just because I wanted to show you how when you import and export sets, because these are all exported sets from Smogon, just to make things fast, their items can overlap, and so you're going to want to have to change them depending on what items you want to use. Abilities are important as well. For example, Gothitelle is a great one because Gothitelle is only in S tier because its stats are pretty low comparatively to others in S tier, is because its ability Shadow Tag. So Shadow Tag means that adjacent Pokemon, so the opponent's Pokemon, are not allowed to switch unless they have Shadow Tag, they're a Ghost type, or they're Flying type. So nothing can switch out of Gothitelle, which means that if you can get off Charm so you can't get any hits or get killed, you can just use Rest, heal yourself back up, wait 2 turns, start boosting up your defenses again. You can use Gothitelle against the right opponent. Like, let's say, looking at the team, if you send out Gothitelle on, let's say, Weezing. Weezing can't really touch Gothitelle, so you just start sending up your Cosmic Powers. You get to +6, you have +6 defense, which is 4 times your defense. You're basically unkillable at that point. So it's important to look at abilities as well, because these 2 abilities, while Frisk is interesting, it shows you the held item of the opponent, and competitive raises special attack by 2. Shadow Tag is obviously the winner, and it's going to be really interesting to see it used properly. It makes Gothitelle a very niche Pokemon, but if she can get going, she basically can win you the game single-handedly. So now that you see how you can make a team, the customizable aspect of a team is a little bit more complicated. You can see where under this moves, it has a list of moves here, and then usually useless moves underneath. So these are the moves that are typically considered good moves, and everything under here is considered bad. So you're going to want to stay in this category. Usually, sometimes there's exceptions, but if you're making your own movesets, definitely stay into that category. But I prefer to use Smogon. I mean, since most people in the league know what they're doing, they attempt to make their own sets. But if you're new, definitely use Smogon, at least as a reference point on the ability and item to use, and potentially like the better moves on the set. So another important thing to note is, besides the item and the ability and the moves, under stats there are these things called EVs, and you're going to want to make sure that if you're making your own set that you click this button here. It changed it a little bit because it's slightly different than the one that we exported, but you click this button here and it fills this stat in. So let's say you leave this blank, right? Now it's only 185 and a serious nature. So natures change your stats depending on what nature you pick. So serious is a neutral nature, which means it's plus attack minus attack or something like that. So it's garbage. Whereas if you were to pick, let's say, well, let's do the default one. So you're gonna press this, and you'll see HP is at 185. When you press this button, it puts 252 points in here, and now HP is at 217. So it gave you like 20 something points in HP, which is great. And now you see there's a plus sign and a minus sign. So since you're not using your attack, you're using all special attacks. You can see Apple Acid and Dragon Pulse have that purple thing there. It doesn't matter if you're minus attack because you're not using it. Calm is plus special defense minus attack. So you have 252 in special defense, so you can take more special hits. And you have minus attack, so your lowered stat is going into a useless stat for you. So it's very important that this is not blank, because your stats are going to be significantly lower and you're going to be doing a lot less damage, a lot less effective stuff to your opponent. You're basically going to lose because they have stats boosted that you don't. Now I'm going to go to this tab here where I have a battle that I just kind of played real quick just so I could show you that after you match, you're going to click this upload and share replay. And you're going to press that. It might be expired, it's not. So it's going to pop up this link. So you're going to copy this link and you're going to go over here. You're going to submit your link under submit a match. It's going to show you who your opponent is. You get a pick. So let's say, in this case, it's Tornadorcats. This is for me, though, so it's going to be Boston Medusa versus Tornadorcats. So I'm not really going to submit it, plus your battle hasn't happened. But I'm going to pick that for the example. Replay. Paste the replay. Just put it like that. And then here it's going to say how many Pokemon were left on your side. So if we're using this, you can see that all 6 of my Pokemon are dead. So I'm going to put 0. You look at their team, they have 3 alive. So you're going to put 3. Then it's going to see, it's really convenient for your side because it shows your 10 Pokemon. And you're going to say, okay, I used Bronzong, I used Porygon2, I used Volcarona, blah blah blah, you get it. You fill in which Pokemon you use. You're like, okay, my Bronzong ended up dying, but it got 1 kill. And then you're going to put 1, 0, fainted. So let's say my Azumarill fainted, didn't get a kill, but it used Toxic, and Toxic killed something. That's considered an indirect kill. If you set up hazards, like something like a status like Toxic, anything that kills it that's not a direct attack is considered an indirect, so you're going to put that there. What you can do instead is you can send me the replay. Make sure you save a replay though, because we chronologue this into our site and on the Discord server, and people can watch as people battle, and it's really fun to watch how people do successfully. So when you're all done, you have your opponent's team filled out. You're going to have to do a little more work since it only shows your 10 and then every other Pokemon possible on this side. Make sure, like, if you're like, okay, Tornadorcats brought Corviknight, make sure you put Corviknight G-Max and not regular Corviknight. Did he change it? Actually, it looks like he changed it, so it only shows Pokemon that have been drafted. So, for example, if you're battling against the Jacksonville Jolteon, because there's two people that drafted Charizard, make sure instead of Charizard, you're picking G-Max Charizard because it shows very different stats otherwise. You're going to submit it this way. Alternatively, send me the replay. I can fill this out for you if I watch it. I can fill it out. If you're confused, that's fine. I don't want to have to do that every week, but I've basically done that in the past. It's not a big deal. I want everything to be as accurate as possible. So please do that. And it'll pop up under rankings with who won, who lost overall. The top 4 people of each bracket are going to the finals. And then we'll see how that goes. So another interesting thing you can do is when you're making a team is you can plug in your opponent's Pokemon into what we call this team type calculator. A very fun website. So let's say you're scared of the Tornadoricats' Corviknight. You're going to put Steel Flying and you press calculate. You know that they're weak to fire and electric. So you go to your team, you're like, oh, I have Ninetales. So I'm going to have to make sure Ninetales, because base 100 speed is a lot faster than Corviknight 67. So if you go to matchup and you put in your team versus the other team, show base speed stats, you can see that your base speed is displayed next to your Pokemon. You're like, okay, Ninetales has base 100 speed and outspeeds Corviknight. So I want to keep Ninetales healthy because it's the only thing that can really deal with Corviknight besides Arctozolt, who is slower. My electric type is slower and weak to steel, so it's not, well, I guess it's neutral to steel, but so I'm not going to want to be able to use Arctozolt versus the Corviknight. So you can pick your team that way, because let's say you decided, oh, I don't want to take Ninetales, I want to take Mr. Mime. And then you realize, oh, I have 2 fairies and his G-Max is a steel type. That's not very good. So you swap out Mr. Mime for Ninetales. Stuff like that. Types are very important to know. But basically, yeah, you want to know that make sure everything is level 50. Make sure all of these are filled out, including the stats. And make sure that if you change Pokemon, you change to level 50. The level 50 is crucial. I know it's really annoying because Showdown defaults to level 100. And you don't want to be cheating. So yeah. You could also import-export right here. And copy this and send it to me, and I can give you my information or my critique of your team, and or give you some suggestions. Notice if maybe you left a Pokemon at level 100, I'll say, hey, fix that, whatever. And you're using the wrong ability on Gothitelle. You should be using Shadow Tag, not Frisk, because otherwise it's not as strong. Stuff like that. So hopefully that's answers all your questions. It's a little all over the place, but let me do one more. I want to show you how to G-Max. So you can see Hydreigon Dynamax turn 1 because that's what I chose it to do. So how you do that is, let's do a random battle real quick. How you Dynamax, which is important because it is a very important part. Oh, let me warn you in advance, before you get into your first battle, you should go over to this and you should mute sounds, because it is extremely loud. If you don't have speakers, good on you, but otherwise, it's a mistake. So you'll see here, okay, Volcanion, Steam Eruption, Flamethrower, Sludge Bomb, Defog, and then there's this little Dynamax button. So you're going to check this, but only check this if your Appleton or your Corviknight or your specific Gigantamax Pokemon is out on the field, because they're the only ones that are allowed to use this button. Everything else is forbidden. It's against the rules. So I'm just gonna, it's a terrible matchup here, Pincurchin versus Volcanion, but I'm just gonna show you Dynamax. It changes your moves to the max move, so you can see Steam Eruption becomes Max Geyser, Flamethrower becomes Max Flare. They all have their own special max move that is increased power. So Steam Eruption is base 110, but Max Geyser is base 140, so you're stronger. And you can see 265 HP. I'm gonna click Max Geyser just because. 530 HP. It doubled my HP. So that's pretty cool. And now for 3 turns, you're going to be like this. Let's just use this so I can gain my special attack a little bit. Now, I did it turn 1. You're typically not going to want to do this, but it's just as the example. Now, please don't take forever. Or please don't be broken. Because my showdown has been glitchy. Okay. That's fine. So this is turn 3. You will see that after I kill this Jinx, I'm going to go back to normal size. And after you see, look, I no longer have that Dynamax button. So you want to make sure you use that Dynamax button at the right time, because if you don't, like me, oh, well, if you don't use it right, you're just wasting your strongest asset. You can see I basically just blew through most of his team by doing that. I don't know what this guy's doing. But, yeah. That's about it. Everything you need to know. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. But, honestly, I would not focus on making your own teams. I would just use Smogon, export some sets, make sure you pick some good moves that match the physical or special. Make sure everything's set to level 50, and it's pretty straightforward from there. I know it's a little confusing if you're a new player because, I mean, you really don't know what you're doing, but make sure you have maybe a type advantage chart up so you can see what's weak to what. You can feel free to take your time. It says here there's a timer. That's because he turned it on against me. That's not there. In a custom game, you can take all the time you need. I wouldn't worry too much about that. And yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me before your battle. I'll definitely look over your team if you have one set up, however you want to do it. And see, perfect. So now you can see, since that battle is over, let's say that was our match. You click upload and share. There's the link, and then you just do the thing over there. So you only have to do the submission thing if you are the victor, but it helps if both players share or save the replay, so then if someone messes up or forgets, that they both have it. So please make sure you save the replay. It's crucial. And we archive it in the Discord, and we can rewatch the battles at any time. So that's pretty nice. It's fun to see how other people do along the week. So hopefully that answers your questions on how to use Showdown. PokemonShowdown.com. Make sure everything's set to level 50, and all of the information is filled out. You're welcome to copy paste from Smogon, but make sure if it's actually the Gmax, and it's using the right moves to deal with its stats. So, Pokemon is a very complicated game disguised in simple animations and all that stuff, but all the math behind it is complicated, and I know it might be overwhelming at first, so feel free to copy and ask anything that you may have a question on. And I'm repeating myself a lot, so I'm going to stop right here. Just message me if you have any questions, and thanks for watching. I hope you do well in your battle. Good luck.